I've got some good news tonight. I was getting ready, I was cleaning up from the transmission seals, and I was getting ready to stage the final drive for its seal. And that was going to be quite an operation because the manual calls, this is the final drive, backside, this is the spline shaft that interfaces with the wheel. Your brake shoes mount here. And the manual says to remove all these bolts, use a drive bolt, 5mm drive bolt, to push on the housing, and this basically pops out. You take the back cover, you stick it in the oven, and you heat it up to 300 degrees, and the bearing is supposed to release from the housing and the whole assembly falls out. And then you can press the seal out, put the new seal back in, and reassemble everything. Well, when I got this up here, I started looking at it and said, well, why can't I just extract the seal the same way I did on the transmissions? Because if this cover is off, the bearing and the spline shaft come with it. And then when you heat it up and the bearing falls out, it's going to fall out the back, leaving the seal in the cover. So the seal, this is the new one, the seal goes like this, and you have to sort of press it over the spline, which is the same thing as if you did it the procedural way. You'd have to push the spline through the seal, which would be hammered into the housing. So I said, well, let me see if I can extract this. And sure enough, I used the same method. I drilled a hole in it, used the screw, and started prying on it, and it popped out. And I cleaned all this up. The spline shaft was quite greasy. Years and years of grime. Don't forget, you've got brake dust in here. You've also got, every time you take the wheel off, you got to lube this up, and it just kept accumulating, and you can just see how, I mean, look at the layers and layers of gunk that's on that seal. It's just awful. And that's why the seal gave up. So what I'm going to try here is not to take this apart. Don't get the oven involved because that's a whole can of worms. So I've got that seal out. Now to protect the new seal from these splines, I'm going to just tape these up and get the seal over it and then tap it in gently, and it should work. So let's see what happens. So first step is we're going to tape up the splines. And again, I've cleaned this all up. I've taken the time with a rag and a screwdriver and a pick, and I've gone through every one of the splines to get the grease and oil out of it. So we're going to be pretty liberal with this tape. I don't want to chew up the new seal. This, by the way, is the procedure in the book, the Haynes Manual. Even if you do it the right way and you separate these cases and you release the bearing with the oven, they still want you to protect the seal from these splines with tape like this. So we're just skipping a step here, and I don't see why this won't work. So I'm going to put one more layer on there. And then we're going to use plenty of lube on here to get it. So if this works, it'll be great that it saves a lot of time from having to separate this. And I was a little concerned about getting it all back together because 300 degrees is pretty high for these rubber seals. And then, I mean, the oil starts to smoke and make a mess in the kitchen. Not that I'm concerned about that, as you can see, but when you start to get appliances involved. Okay, that's taped. We got our seal and our gear oil. Same gear oil in the transmission, the axle, and the final drive. But it's nice that they're separate components. There's no contamination between the bits and the various components. All right, that's good. I'm being quite liberal with the oil here. Now, I do not have a socket large enough to go over the entire diameter, but I think we can just kind of tap it around little by little on the edges and get this in. So, all right, one last spot we have to do, and that's the actual surface, the sealing surface. In this case, the more lube, the better. Okay, now I'm just going to sneak this over the tape. Oop, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to start it crooked. That would be bad. I'm going to, this cam mechanism, can you see me? Yeah, this cam mechanism here, no, it's not really in my way. Need something more, here we go. Boy, I wish I had something large enough to go over this. There we go. Actually working. I'm just going to keep at this. There's no reason to waste your time. That couldn't have gone any better. Even if I had disassembled everything, that seal wouldn't have been installed any better. You can see I just kept tapping around and around and around, and it's totally flush on all sides, which means it's even. We'll pull the tape off, and then we'll verify the biting surface of the seal. Of course, you got to make sure you get all the tape off. That would be bad. Some of it stayed behind. Kind of like taking a Band-Aid off. Look at that, beautiful. Very nice. Let me check the... That is perfect. Let me wipe some of that oil off of there. You can't quite see all the way down on this side because the oil is puddling here. The oil that I used to assemble this. Looks great. Absolutely great. So that saved a lot of work. and risk. It's always good when you can save time and reduce risk. All right, that's it. The mechanical components of the bike are complete. The last thing to do before reassembly are the painting the wheels. So you see that progress on the website. We have photographs, or maybe I'll do a video. Nah, videos and paint don't usually get along. Maybe I'll do a video of the soda blasting of the rear wheel because that's not done yet. All right, see you later.